Hello and welcome to today's session, Jumpstart Data Warehouse Cloud with Business Content. My name is Rolf Sieberg. I'm part of Product Management Analytics and Data Warehousing, and with me is my dear colleague, Guido Eichmann.
Hello and warm welcome also from my side to the session.
As you can already see on the agenda, we have a very interesting agenda for you today. We would like to roll it off with the benefits of Data Warehouse Cloud content, share our vision and scope of what you can expect in the future. And then the focus of the whole presentation will be to show you the content that already is available or will soon be available. And we also will, of course, round this off with a nice demo about the real-time content, something to look forward to. Once you've seen all this, I'm quite sure that you will be interested to learn where to find the content and how to install it. We also have a demo for this, and you will see how easy it is to jumpstart Data Warehouse Cloud with business content. We'll round the whole presentation off with additional information, and we hope you make it worth your while. Let's get started then. Benefits of Data Warehouse Cloud content. What are they? Why do we invest into that as SAP? And as you will see, our partners invest into this as well. Veterans of the game may know that analytics and data warehousing provided by SAP would always come with business content. Business content in this case means predefined, pre-delivered data models, data flow, visualizations. So the idea always is to support your start with data warehouse. In this case, why would you start from scratch if SAP has all the knowledge about the backend systems, the data flows necessary to populate the information from the backend system into the Data Warehouse Cloud? That's the whole idea of business content. So we want to give you pre-delivered business packages that offer quick time to value for you. You can leverage SAP's long-term investment into integrated business processes and the harmonized master data. And that is for various user groups, of course. Business users will definitely benefit from SAP's and our partners' rich domain and industry knowledge. So of course, we share the best practices, we share all the attractive visualizations that help you steer your business, help you steer your industry. But the content is also interesting, we believe, for technical users, because part of the content, as we will see in a moment, are of course the detailed insights into existing data sources, and we share best practices about the data flows. So it will be very intuitive for you, once you've looked at the content, to set up your own connections, to set up your own content. And that is actually what we intend content to be used for. You could either run it as it is, or you can use it as a kickstart for your own implementation. So you could copy the content, change it, or enhance it, and then make sure that the scenarios that we have provided would fit to your specific needs, and the reporting requirements would cover whatever your business users want to use. But of course, even if the package itself may not be in the right business domain, may not have the right industry flavor at that point in time, you could still use it to get inspired by our best practices. So within the business content, of course, we share also the in-depth knowledge about how the technology itself may be used, how modeling can be done. We share tips and tricks that you could also use for your trials, for your proof of concept, or even your productive scenarios. We don't do that all by ourselves. So for me, it is very important and dear to my heart that we have a rich partner ecosystem, and that we have from the very start of Data Warehouse Cloud been involving partners into the development of business content as well. That gives us the ability to tap into their rich expertise. And of course, it gives us the chance to expand the reach of content beyond the SAP backend systems. Obviously, SAP backends play an important role, but we make sure that Data Warehouse Cloud is open, and reaching out to third-party systems is typically something that our partners bring to the table, and you will see the first packages covering that as well. Last but not least, it's all about jumpstarting. It's all about the ease of use. It's all about getting there quickly, and this is why you will benefit from the tight integration of the analytics content network into Data Warehouse Cloud. So within the application, you can download business content and immediately benefit from it. Let's look at the vision. What do we want to achieve when we look at the content scenarios all in all? On the left-hand side of the slide, you see our SAP's vision of the intelligent enterprise, starting at the bottom from the technology layer, the business technology platform, into the intelligence suite, the industry cloud, rounded off by the experience management, and on top the business network with the business processes. It is our vision to cover all those scenarios, and capture them also in Data Warehouse Cloud, and therefore also reflect those scenarios in Data Warehouse Cloud content for you to get quick started with. That means in detail that you can expect in the end-to-end content vision that we have scenarios that would cover whole industry flows, could be delivered either by SAP or by our partners. And we also cover, of course, hybrid scenarios. This is key because we recognize that while many customers want us to be in the cloud and want to leverage the cloud capabilities that SAP and our partners can offer, of course, there are on-premise systems that need to be covered. So expect hybrid cases also to come up and be shown in Data Warehouse Cloud content here. One specific scenario that you will hear about when you look into Data Warehouse Cloud talk tracks at TechEd more is the hybrid scenario that would combine the on-premise data warehouse offering by SAP, the SAP Business Warehouse, with Data Warehouse Cloud. And of course, you can expect content packages to cover that in the near future. End-to-end business scenarios, of course, require a solid foundation. And this solid foundation, of course, are the line of business packages. Being able to tap into individual applications like S/4HANA Cloud Finance, like SuccessFactors for the HR information, is, of course, the foundation that you need to see the end-to-end packages in place. And rounding this off by integrated master data makes it easy for you to interchange packages and combine with your own content. Last but not least, the integration, I mentioned that already, into the SAP applications and potentially also with the help of our partners into third-party applications is something that we also want to share. When we look at it from a more technical perspective, from a scope perspective, what is it that from technical objects perspective you can expect to find in the standard content packages here? Well, let's look again at the overall architecture of SAP Data Warehouse Cloud first. And on the left-hand side of the slide, you can see that. So it starts with the consumption layer, which is actually the analytics cloud that nicely integrates with Data Warehouse Cloud. And then we have the blue box here in the middle. That's Data Warehouse Cloud with the data modeling capabilities, with the business modeling capabilities, repository services, security, all the things that you expect from a data warehouse. And all of this on the solid foundation of SAP HANA Cloud. SAP HANA Cloud providing both the in-memory and the disk storage capabilities that the data warehouse will require, and of course allows virtual access, call that the federation, and replication into Data Warehouse Cloud. And around that, of course, with the capabilities to tap into all those different sources, you can find SAP Cloud data sources, on-premise data sources, external sources even, third-party data lakes, API sources, you name them. And actually, content will cover all that. So the idea is, as I said, not only to cover end-to-end industry scenarios, but our packages will also cover the entire architecture stack. So starting from the top again, content packages will contain visualizations and stories, typically powered by the Analytics Cloud integration here. And within the visualization and stories, you will find KPIs, you will find the common master data information that makes the content so rich. And the core of it, the heart of it, of course, the data models themselves. So the entity relationship models, the views, the tables, the data flows, all the business objects that you can expect to build yourself as well. You will eventually find those object types in the content. And we round this off by recommended data sources. We will later on see what recommended data sources really means and what the power of that concept is. So of course you can interchange data sources eventually, and we share documentation, how-to guidelines, how those things can be achieved. Let's see that a bit more in action. Let's look at the available content and look at the near-term roadmap. On the left-hand side, you see what already is out there for you to pick up or will soon be delivered. So at the time of the recording, we are working on finalizing the packages that you see on the left-hand side under the label of Q4 2020. This is, of course, a forward-looking information here, but we expect to be able to deliver all of them, and you should find them when you see this recording already in your analytics content network that will be demonstrated to you in a moment. So let's look at the packages in a bit more detail. We have started with the very first package. That's an industry package already. That's the retail package for consumer sales intelligence. And we will add to that, as I said, working on them at the point of the recording here, we will add to that the Chief Financial Officer dashboard, and I will talk about that a bit more. And we will add 3 additional industry packages. First one is utilities, meter to cash scenario. Then we have the consumer products, the revenue growth, and last but not least, automotive stock and demand. You can find more about the upcoming roadmap in the SAP Roadmap Explorer, and this is why I shared the link down here. I mentioned already, and it is very important for all of us here, that we are not alone, but we have partnered up with our strong partner ecosystem. So again, from the very beginning, from the very first moment we shared content in the content network, our partners played an important role. And I would like to go through the packages in a bit of detail to highlight what you can expect. You will see that we have line of business scenarios, cross scenarios, and we will even have scenarios where we span, as I said, the SAP backend and go beyond that. So at Verity first, marketing analytics for Data Warehouse Cloud. CubeServe next, procurement, another line of business scenario, of course. E-commerce, specifically here from data side. Inspired Intellect, they offer order fulfillment, even with machine learning capabilities. And then, as I said, of course, one of the key line of business scenarios, HR, offered here by KPC, the HR cockpit automatic attendance tracker. PricewaterhouseCoopers brings sales insights, and that is one of the packages that actually allows us to go beyond the SAP backends here. It's a combination of data that sits in our on-premise solution, the BW, and Salesforce. So we combine information from an on-premise system with a data set that doesn't even sit in SAP systems. Quite a hybrid scenario here. This is why I highlight that. Rising, Lyra integrated capacity planning, another cross topic, of course. SPS, financial reporting, of course, a very important and interesting package because everyone will be dealing with that. And Westernacher, last but not least, enterprise warehouse management. Not only are we working on SAP packages, we're also working on specific partner packages that will be released in Q4 2020 or around the turn of the year. We will have to see about that. Now let's look into a few of those packages in more detail. Let's start with the Chief Financial Officer dashboard. As you can see on the left-hand side, it comes, as I said, as an end-to-end package that starts with the visualization in Analytics Cloud. So we have a story ready for you that would hold all of the information that the Chief Financial Officer could rightly expect. And of course, all of this real time, because we tap from the Analytics Cloud through the live data connection into the virtual data models of S/4HANA Cloud Finance, using, of course, the existing core data services CDS views here. This will give you all the standard financial KPIs, for instance, the information per cost center. And then we can, of course, round this off by adding more insights, by providing you in-depth insights that are only possible to achieve when you combine finance information with additional information. In this case, we combine that with information that we take out of the SuccessFactors system. So we combine it with HR information. And that's quite important because when you look at certain costs, for instance, travel costs or education costs per cost center, it will be very difficult for cost center managers to understand where they are compared to their peer members. If you don't have a means to actually compare cost centers by the number of full-time equivalents or by the number of headcount that actually is related to that. Because obviously it makes a difference if you've got only 10 people spending a budget or 100 people spending the same budget. So to give you that ability to compare, to bring those two data sets, the finance information, the HR information together, we of course leverage Data Warehouse Cloud. and build those complex data models for you already that would give you the joins already, that would bring the data together on cost center level with harmonized time information. All of this, again, jumpstarting your business, quick insights, a solution pre-delivered with quick time to value for you. The next package is one that we will soon see demonstrated to you. So I will not cover too much. I will not spoil too much about the actual content. Just again, we're looking at the retail package here, SAP Consumer Sales Intelligence. It again comes with an Analytics Cloud story. In this case, the story has 3 pages, as you will see. So we've got the cockpit to give you the overview. We've got the sales analysis page, and we've got the store analysis. As you can expect, those KPIs here that we have are the most prominent retail KPIs, and you can compare them year to date, year to last date. We will come with top and flop analysis, and we will, of course, in the store analysis, also give you a breakdown of the shopping basket to the hourly levels per site, so you can get a good overview of the best and slowest sellers at that point in time. Why I highlight this package specifically is because of the underlying architecture. And this is, again, in the beginning, I talked about recommended data sources. This is, again, a very nice capability of being able to model in Data Warehouse Cloud. So on the left-hand side, you see, and my colleague Guido will demonstrate that to you in more detail, you see that we use Data Warehouse Cloud capabilities to bring together master data and sales data and combine them through different data operators step by step to a final analytical view that can then be used by the Analytics Cloud. However, the underlying data model is quite ingenious, I feel. You can see that on the right-hand side. On the purple box, you see the remote table. So this is actually the live connectivity to SAP Consumer Sales Intelligence tables. So without the need to replicate data, you can tap into consumer sales information, federate that, and with the joint capabilities of Data Warehouse Cloud, we bring this together on the fly for your analytics. We have then copied those tables into local tables. So we have, if you want, disconnected the second model here from the actual consumer sales intelligence. And that gives you the capability and the ability to load sample data to that. So next to the live connectivity, we can also offer sample data. And the package contains all the information where you actually get those. Those are technically just Excel spreadsheets, and you can upload them into the local tables. But by the same means, you can, of course, load data from your own retail system. So should you not run the SAP Consumer Sales Intelligence, which is our recommended data source, you are, of course, very free to also load into the local tables your own data. And then the union operation will bring those two together. You will decide which of the 2 branches you use to show your analytics. Curious to see how that works? Curious to see how that really turns out to look in your system? Then it's demo time, and it's over to Guido.
Let's directly start with the Analytics Cloud report to demonstrate you what we have in our retail content. As seen in the slides, we have 3 pages. We have the cockpit, we have the sales analysis, and the store analysis. The cockpit gives you the most important information, the key performance indicator at a glance. So we have the sales amount, we have the sales quantity, we have the number of transactions, we have the average basket value, and we have the average items per basket. Always with a year-to-date comparison. So how have we done compared to the previous year, the previous period? On the right-hand side, we see the best performing and the worst performing, so top and flop sales in the merchandise category and the top and flop sites. And this is for all the key performance indicators shown. So the sales amount, the sales quantity, and so on and so forth. So for example, you would see here that for the merchandise category code, there's a top performing category in sense of sales amount, and if you look at sales quantity, it's also amongst the top, but now it's only quotes and quotes at the position 5 here. As such, you get very quickly an overview of really relevant key performance indicators, and also grouped into the merchandise category and into the site to understand, the stores that are performing best and that are at the lower end within your company. On the very bottom, we already see the trend over time from the sales amount, the sales quantity, and number of transactions. Really at a glance, as a teaser here, but this information we can now further analyze in the subsequent pages, and let's start to check the sales analysis. The sales analysis lets you deep dive into your really sales as such. On the top, we again have the KPIs as an overview, and then we see the time trend here at the second lane here. Now, if you want to do further analysis, we can use the sales analysis in detail, and this provides you already predefined options to analyze your sales. You can, for example, change the measure you want to analyze. Instead of the amount, you might want to look at the sales quantity. Changing the measure here changes all the charts here and now represents the values with sales quantity. And that's doable for other measures as well. You can also change the dimension that you want to do the drill down. So for example, you can, instead of the country, choose the city. And then again, the charts are being updated. And you could also change the rating here, the ranking here. What's also very nice is if you click on a data point, the charts on the right are updated. So now you get really for that data point a detailed analysis of your sales quantity in that merchandise category, the best selling and again the bottom selling objects here. On the lower area, we have an analysis where we can analyze differences between two periods. So here we would analyze the difference between the Q1 2020 and the Q1 2019. You can, of course, also change the value here. And again, we have the same paradigm as above. You can analyze the differences by different measures, by different KPIs. You have the amount, the quantity, the basket value, the number of transactions, and the average items per basket. And the dimension are as above, the country, the region, and the city. This concludes the sales analysis. Now let's look at the store analysis. On the store analysis page, you really can deep dive into your store. When you start the page, you get basically an overview again of all stores here. But as you can see, especially on the sales amount per hour, you most probably want to look at one store. So now let's filter on a store here. So let's just use this store. Changing the filter updates again all data on that page. And now you see at a glance the sales amount per hour for that site here very transparently. Again, you have the option to change the measure. Here it's also filtered for a particular day, change the date, and change other filters as well. In the lower area, there are details on the checkout workforce, and on the category traffic analysis. Again, filtered to what has been said here in the upper area. So now let's look at the Data Warehouse Cloud data model underneath. So let's start from the data model that connects to the Analytics Cloud report. That's the CSI Sales Analysis report. So what do we do here in this view? So we do two things, primarily two things. We calculate, we finally calculate all the measures and KPIs that we need in our story. And we also filter here. What do we filter? So we filter to the inbound layer local file. That means, as being shown in the slides also, we have a data model that is based on local data, local files, and the other part of the data model directly connects to the backend system. And the setting here is in the content, the local file, so that once you have uploaded some data to the local tables, you'd be able to immediately consume or check the content. And secondly, we also restrict here to the to 2 years of data. So now let's navigate to the union view to understand what are we doing there. This is pretty straightforward, I would say. So here we combine the local and the remote data model. So this is just to really union that and have this unified access to calculate the measures. Now let's navigate to the local data model to understand how the data model is built. As said, the data model is the same, independent if you use the local data or the remote source. So here we start from the retail transaction, the retail line item data. We add the product dimension to it. We add the site dimension to it, so the stores. And we finally do some first calculations, and we end up in this node that we consume in the union view as just seen. So this basically concludes the demo of the retail content. So I have shown to you the Analytics Cloud story that has the 3 pages in from the cockpit to the sales analysis to the store analysis. And I have introduced to you the data model that we provide in Data Warehouse Cloud. Thanks. So that concludes the first demo. Now let's head over to the next topic, where to find the content and how to install it. The central place where you would find all content is our so-called content network. So the content network covers all content packages from SAP and from the partners. As already mentioned, in the purpose of the content, they are available for trial, for proof of concepts, for getting your implementation started. Content packages are free of charge, but they also may be priced. This information is kept in the package itself. Here in the slides, you see a rough flow, where to find the packages and how to access them, but I will demo to you in the system live how this looks like, how it feels like. A second place where to find the packages, in particular from the partners, is the so-called SAP App Center. So if you browse to the SAP App Center, either reusing the URL that directly brings you to all Data Warehouse Cloud packages, or directly going there, you can find all Data Warehouse Cloud packages, and you do this restricting here the works with to the product SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. With that little introduction, over to the second demo, where I show you the topics that I've just shown to you in the slides. Let me show you where to find content and how to get it. In Data Warehouse Cloud, you find the content in the content network. Basically, the content network serves 2 major purposes. It's for lifecycle management, so you can export a content to a new package, you manage your packages here, and you import a package. Next to that, you find the business content from SAP and from the partners in the content network. Today, I want to focus on how to get the content. Let's look at the overview of partner packages that we currently have in the content network. This is now the list of packages that we have. And the package that you're interested in, you just click on it, and then you get an overview page. The overview page describes you what you get in that content package. It starts with terms and conditions that you also have to check before you import the package. And then there's a brief description about major benefits here and features of that content package. There might also be a section how to install the package if there are some steps to be executed before you can actually import the package. Finally, there's also a list to the App Center listing, and I will show you that in a second. And as mentioned, you have to check the text box terms and conditions before you can import the package. On the second page of that dialog, you get an overview of the technical entities of the package. So here you see the stories, the models, the tables that are included in that package. Secondly, to that overview, on the top of that screen, you can change the import preferences or override preferences. The default setting is that nothing is overwritten. So that means in case the content has been imported, a second import would not override it. So anything you might have done to the content would not be overwritten and thus got lost. But obviously, you can change the setting, and maybe if there's an update that you want to apply, you then would change the setting and choose override here. So once you have written and you're satisfied and you're sure you want to import a package, you then just press import. Or as mentioned on the slides, if there is a price to the package, then you first have to close the transaction with the partner, and afterwards you are able to import the package. Let me quickly switch over to the App Center. So as mentioned in the slide, the App Center is a central place where you would find all packages from our partners. So here you get an overview of the current package that you also have seen in the content network. You can easily find all the content packages if you restrict the work with here to SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. And if you click on a package, you basically get again a description, a little more elaborated here. There are links to videos, to other resources, and also, again, if there's a price included, you find all the details in that section on that page. That concludes the demo, where to find the content and how to get the content from SAP and from partners. Okay, thanks. That concludes the second demo. And with that, over back to you, Rolf, for the additional information part.
Yeah, thank you very much, Guido. Those were really impressive demos. I like the ease of use of the content network, and I'm sure our customers will like that as well. So jump-starting Data Warehouse Cloud with business content, that seems really easy. Let's round it off with additional information where you can find more about Data Warehouse Cloud. It's actually very easy to remember the URL. It's just sapdatawarehouse.cloud. Can't be simpler. We've collected a bit more URLs here on the slide for you to go through, and I would like to draw your attention especially to the Roadmap Explorer. We mentioned that already, so go there regularly to find out the latest in terms of technology, but also the latest in terms of business content. On the bottom of the page, you see sample content on GitHub, and this is exactly where you can find the Excel spreadsheets that we talked about for the consumer retail demo. And last but not least, here on the slide, the link for you to provide your feedback. We would, of course, love to improve. We would love to learn your feedback. So do fill it out. Give us a chance with candid feedback to get even better. Thanks a lot. I'm sure you would like to help us sort out the vast amount of information that TechEd can offer to you. So we've here come up with the related sessions that may make sense once you've heard this one here. I'm sure if you want to learn more about Data Warehouse Cloud, get an overview and get to be exploring it from A to Z, actually the analytics tracks 108 and 364 would be the right ones for you. Guido showed and demoed to you the ease of use of the analytics content network, but there's of course more to the analytics content network. We also use that for lifecycle management and other things. So go ahead and check out section 364 for details. And last but not least, the strong and attractive combination of SAP Analytics Cloud and Data Warehouse Cloud, the best of two worlds scenario here. If you want to learn more about that, section 106 is the right one for you. Next to that, I'd like to draw your attention to the additional available public websites, and then come to what TechEd in general can offer to you. You may have seen the slide already, but I think it's quite important to reiterate that you can deepen your learning experience from SAP TechEd, as well as deepen and then validate your SAP solution skills following the links on this slide. And I think we have an impressive number of more than 500,000 learners in SAP Learning Hub already, so that speaks for itself. We've come to the end of the session already. We hope it was worth your while. And before I say thank you for attending the session, hand it over to Guido for the famous last words, I would like to draw your attention to the last link here on the slide. We have published a blog about Data Warehouse Cloud content specifically. So next to the Roadmap Explorer, this is a good place to go if you want to learn what Data Warehouse Cloud content can offer to jumpstart your business as well. And now, thanks for watching. Over to you, Guido, for the last words.
Yeah, thank you, Rolf. Thanks for watching also from my end. I hope you enjoyed the session, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.